Hey, what is going on, Twintendo Nation? Hope you're having an awesome day. Yesterday I went over the brand new Pokemon anime first trailer. We did a trailer breakdown with that, and this is kind of a follow-up video, so if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave a link in the description, make sure you check it out. But at the end of the trailer they showed a brand new key art, basically a big piece of art, a poster if you'd like, of the brand new Pokemon anime, and it has quite a lot to talk about. I was going to mention it in the last video, but we would have probably been there for like 20 minutes. I thought it probably made more sense to split it into another video. So yeah, we're going to be going over that. There's a lot of new interesting details, a lot of callbacks to older generations, which is obviously expected, and we might be seeing some old characters return if the poster is anything to go by. So if you do enjoy today's video and you want to see more Pokemon anime videos, make sure to hit the like button down below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Pokemon anime, and of course Pokemon Sword and Shield, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to become a part of the Twintendo Nation. So without further ado guys, let's just start the video. I do want to mention that there really isn't a high quality release of this poster yet, or this key art. The one I'll be using today isn't too bad, and we'll still be able to make out everything. But if you're waiting for a higher resolution one, we're probably going to have to wait a couple of days, or maybe even before it launches, or when the anime launches on the 17th of November, maybe that's when we'll get it. But I just wanted to make that clear. So the poster shows all the different regions in the Pokemon universe. So obviously Kanto, Johto, you know, everything you'd expect, including the Gala region. And we're going to go over those in a second or two. But I do want to mention a few things like, for some odd reason, and I guess they couldn't fit all the regions, as you can see how they've kind of put them in like rays of light in a way, I guess. They put Hoenn right at the bottom on its own, which is really weird. And Hoenn is definitely one of the most interesting ones. It feels like the most different region preview, we'll call it that. And we'll get onto that in a second. But let's talk about the artwork of Ash and Go, and then we're going to move on to regions, because basically the region artwork has the most stuff to talk about. So at the top of the poster we can see the mythical Pokemon Mew looking down on Ash and Go. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, if you don't know, Mew is going to have a pivotal role in the story, or at least one of the subplots. It's related to Go, and his goal in life is to catch Mew because he saw it as a kid. And I guess Mew's just probably, it's either taking a liking to Ash and Go. I'm not sure if it might remember Go, I don't know, I really doubt it. But yeah, Mew is definitely going to have a role. Whether it's important to the story or not, in the end, we'll have to find out. So we can also see Ash's new design a bit more, and he's holding a Pokeball. And since Pikachu doesn't travel in its Pokeball, I do wonder what Pokemon is inside, if any. It might just be, you know, your typical, you know, Pokemon trainer pose. We're holding a Pokeball. But Pikachu seems to be looking at it happily, so maybe it's a Pokemon that Pikachu befriends. I really doubt it, it's probably a stretch. But I do really want to know what kind of, you know, Pokemon Ash is going to catch, or either bring along. I did mention that, you know, we're seeing all these other regions that he's been to before. It'd be really cool to see him bring back those Pokemon, you know, where he caught them. So like Sceptile goes back to Hoenn, Infernape goes back to Sinnoh, and, you know, so on. I think that would be really, really cool. So I don't think there's a particular Pokemon in that Pokeball. Most likely it is just kind of like a typical Pokemon trainer pose. But yeah, we don't know, I guess. But yeah, moving on to Go's design, we can see some similarities to the Pokemon Sword and Shield games, which of course is not surprising, we kind of expected that. So he has a Rotom phone, which we saw in his character design a few weeks ago, but what we can see is that his backpack is similar to the male protagonist in the Pokemon Sword and Shield games. It's basically like a big backpack slash suitcase hybrid, and I never realized Go really had it. I saw it in the trailer yesterday, but I only really noticed it in this key art because it's a bit clearer to see. So I do wonder if there'll be any more similarities between the Pokemon Sword and Shield games and the anime. I'm assuming there definitely will be. It'll just be interesting to see which ones it will be. But let's get on to the main part of this video, the Pokemon in the region previews. We'll go in region chronological order, so Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, etc. and we'll finish with the Gala region. So in Kanto we can see Professor Oak's lab in the background with Pokemon such as Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charizard, who we can assume are all of Ash's Pokemon. Since we obviously know he's caught a Bulbasaur, Squirtle and a Charizard in the past. And then there's also Psyduck, which could be a throwback to Misty's Psyduck. We can also see Eevee. Now, this potentially could be a throwback to Gary's, but it did evolve into an Umbreon, so I'm unsure if this is anyone's Eevee in particular. As far as I'm aware, I don't really know who this Eevee could relate to, unless I'm completely forgetting something. But there's also a Dodrio on top of the lab. For those of you who've been watching the Pokemon anime from the beginning, you'll recognise that this is a throwback to the first ever Pokemon episode. At the start of the episode we see a Dodrio on top of Professor Oak's lab, just kind of like waking up the town with its cry, similar to like a cockerel would on a farm. And finally, we see a flock of Butterfree. Now, like I said, there isn't really a high quality version of this poster yet, but one of those Butterfree, to me at least, looks a little pink. I'm not sure whether that's like the sunset, kind of the glow of the sunset on it. But we might be potentially seeing Ash's Butterfree, which obviously paired off with the pink Butterfree in the original series and travelled away. If I really had to guess, I'm going to say it probably isn't Ash's Butterfree, since they gave it like a yellow ribbon or like a kind of scarf around it, and I feel like if it was Ash's Butterfree, we would see that more clearly. At the moment, it's unlikely, but that is, I mean, if they brought Ash's Butterfree back, that would be one of the craziest things Pokemon have ever done. Now next up is Johto, and we can see Ho-Oh, Togepi, Pichu, Cyndaquil, and I think it's a Hoot from behind, it looks like. Not much really to say on this one actually, besides the fact it's very likely that this is the same Ho-Oh Ash saw at the start of his journey. Next up is Hoenn, and for me this is the most unique one by far. You're going to see in a lot of the region panels that there are a lot of familiar Pokemon that are either related to Ash or Ash's companions. There are a few outliers like Johto and the Unova region. Yes, you could say with Johto, Togepi could be like Misty's, but I think that's a big stretch, and I wouldn't really, that's why I didn't mention it earlier, because I don't think that's right. But yeah, Hoenn is the most interesting, and this is because all the Pokemon we can see in the region preview made their main appearances in Pokemon movies. So we can see Absol, Flygon, and Salamence, which all appeared in Jirachi Wishmaker, which was the 6th Pokemon film. And then we can see Latios and Latias, they appeared in the 5th Pokemon movie, Pokemon Heroes. So yeah, that's kind of interesting that all these Pokemon don't have really any relation to Ash, and I'm kind of disappointed because Hoenn is the region I want to see the most. I grew up on Pokemon Advance a lot. Started with the first Pokemon anime, but Pokemon Advance was definitely one of my favourites, and I was kind of hoping to see either some of May's or Brock's Pokemon, or even Ash's in the region preview, but obviously yeah, it's not to be. So it is kind of interesting that maybe they're using one panel to show off that yes, movie Pokemon will be back as well, but maybe that's just going to be exclusive to Hoenn, or maybe it's just a big coincidence. I think they know what they're doing, it's just a little bit unusual. Now for those like me who were disappointed that none of May's Pokemon appeared in the Hoenn preview, then I think we're in luck. In the Sinnoh preview, we can see Piplup and Mamoswine, which belong to Dawn. Then there's Krogunk, which Brock had during the Diamond and Pearl series. And then there's Abomasnow. I had a look, and I really couldn't remember anyway beforehand that Ash and the gang had any relationship with an Abomasnow. So I think this is just to kind of fit the snowy preview of the region. And then lastly, we can see Glaceon. Now, yes, this might not be related to Maze, since this is a preview of the Sinnoh region, but when she did return to the anime, she went to the Sinnoh region, met up with Ash, Brock, and Dawn, and she also brought along her brand new Glaceon, which evolved from her Eevee. So I think this is entirely possible that this is a reference to May's Glaceon. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is it just wishful thinking, or do you think this is May's Glaceon? Now in the Unova region, we can see Snivy, Haxorus, Bisharp, Whimsicott, Pidove, and Bravery. Ironically enough, the Unova preview is the most boring, just like the series was, as there are barely any links between Ash, Iris, and Silent. So that was very disappointing, but thankfully Kalos is much more interesting, as we can see a Fennekin, which Serena used to own, although now it is a Braixen, so I guess it is touch and go whether you could say this is a link to Serena, because going back to Kanto, you could see obviously a Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and a Charizard. That made sense because, Ash never evolved his Bulbasaur or Squirtle, but he did evolve his Charmander all the way to Charizard. So if this was Serena's, surely it would be a Braixen and not a Fennekin. But anyway, there's also Sylveon, which yes, Serena definitely does have. There's also Talonflame, which could be a reference to Ash's, Dedenne, which could be Bonnie's, and then there's also other Pokemon like Pangoro, Meowstic, Flabebe, and Floette. Now in the Alola region, we can see both Rowlet and Poplio, but interestingly, no Litten. There's also Alolan Executor, Pukumuku, Mantine, and Pikipek. Now not much to mention there, could be a potential link between Ash and Rowlet, but none of the others really work as far as I'm aware. And finally there's the Gala region. It looks like this region preview is taking place in one of the Pokemon Stadium gyms. And yeah, it's just Dreadnought fighting Corviknight. Not really much to say. They really, know what they're doing. They're keeping it to Pokemon that we've already known from pretty much the beginning of the Pokemon Sword and Shield coverage. And yeah, that's pretty much the anime poster. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and I will kind of look out for a high quality release because I do want to have a look at those Butterfree. Like I said, I really doubt one of them is Ash's Butterfree, but if I do see a pink one, then there is hope. But yeah guys, that's it for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to hit the like button down below, and if you want to stay up to date with everything Pokemon anime and Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to become a part of Twintendo Nation. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you on the next video. Peace!